So we're here actually at the brand new podium here at Karting Genk, just off of turn number 11. Alongside me I've got the championship leader coming into this round, Sean Butcher from KR Sport. Sean, it's been a pretty emphatic season. Obviously the biggest thing is that Luca Lystra wasn't able to race this weekend, but how were you feeling coming into this? You had one goal in mind, didn't you, to defend your title?
Yeah, it would have been a really nice thing to defend the title, and it's what we've been aiming for all year. It's been a pretty solid season again. Haven't had a win yet, so it'd be nice to get one this weekend.
I think also when you've had quite a lot of stern competition, obviously, you know, one of your good friends off the track, but also a stern competitor in his own right, Lachlan Robinson, you know, very good friends off track, but you've got enough racing respect to know where you can and can't push the limits. When it's about going for a championship, what is your mindset coming in that you've got? Are you fixated on what strategy you've got to employ, or is it a case of, right, I know exactly what I've got to do and I've got to perform at the right level?
At the end of the day, like if you're going for a championship, you obviously have to prioritise yourself, but you'd never want to like affect a teammate in a bad way deliberately or anything like that. So yeah, you have to be mindful and still play the team game.
Now, you've had a really good start to the weekend. You've got the next two races coming up. How are you feeling? Because you must be on cloud nine right about now, despite the fact that, you know, like everyone else, you have to get your elbows out and sort of get stuck in with helping to clean your kart, because they do look nice and prim and proper in that colouring, don't they?
Yeah, playing the team game again, helping everyone out, it's always good. But yeah, after having a good day yesterday and finishing well, yeah, it's just nice to be able to help the team.
And obviously, one of the other things that you want to do, one thing that you did do last year, was get yourself a grand finals ticket. You know, you missed out of the Euro Trophy by literally a fraction of points, and I still remember the conversation that we had. It was very, very short, very abrupt, but it was very meaningful. And you've come here, you've had a lot of racing as well, Motorsport UK, Ultimate Kart Championship, and you've come here to Belgium to really cap off that season on a high, haven't you?
Yeah, like it's been a good season, but there has been like some tense moments where some anger builds up when you're having bad results here and there. But yeah, it's nice to just be able to come to this round and like be leading the championship going into today and hopefully finishing it off.
Sean, all the very best of luck. Well done today.
Thank you, mate.
Good to catch up with Sean Butcher, the reigning defending champion. Let's have a look at the grid for Sini Rotax pre-final, day 2 here at Karting Genk. So, based on the aggregate qualification from earlier on today, Sean Butcher, for the second day in succession, takes pole position as we've got one kart quite literally coming to a stop. That is the 302. That is Clémentine Benoit, who is due to start 10th on the grid. So Butcher and Yori Schoens, that is the front row. Justin Pollman and Lachlan Robinson, row 2. Danny Prince and Dylan LaHaye, row 3. Sam Bergstein and Christian de Klein rounds out the top 8. Ahead of Vincent Boutier and Clémentine Benoit, who will not be taking any participation in this race. A real shame for Clémentine, having qualified 10th. Max Demenik and Mario Sidler, row 6. Nick Kuppens and Peter Dorrestein, row 7. Gilles Chloé and Erhard Turker, row 8. Tern Schmidt, Scott Westhoven's row 9. Completing the top 20, Buzz Janssen and Flint Schuring. Completing the 27 drivers that were due to start on the grid, now down to 26. It's Bart DeWitt, Lara Zanen, Alexander Bentley, who I spoke with earlier on, said he had a bit of a misfire, but they managed to sort the problem out. Wout Kirstens, Oliver Berg, Robbie Stodder and Remco Bahn rounding out the grid here at Genk. So 13 minutes on the timer. Red lights ignited on the starting gantry. The way things stand at the moment, Butcher, Robinson and Stemmerdink, that's the top 3 in terms of the current points. So it is not over yet. And 11 points separate both Butcher and Robinson coming into this penultimate race of the season. Through turn 12 we go. Into the tram lines. The revs now rise. Are we ready? Lights are out. We are racing. And Butcher gets a good shot, good hold shot, and so does Justin Poleman. As Lachlan Robinson nearly being squeezed from both sides, but he gets through. Sticks in P5 at the moment. 2 by 2 at some points outside at the lower part of the top 10 as they go through into the Europa line for the first time of asking. We've had a little bit of a drama there. That was for the 387. And Robbie Stourdeur, looks like the bumpers come adrift as a result of that. But Butcher leads the way. Now down into turn 10 for the first time this race. 12 minutes and 15 seconds plus an additional lap still to go. So lap 1 in the books. Butcher leads. Poleman second. Gap 3/10 ahead of Danny Prince. Sam Bergstein, Lachlan Robinson, Jori Schoens started on the front row. Now is down in 6th place when they cross the line. Once again, they go down the Europa line. Remco Barner's got past Robbie Stourdeur, obviously with that incident early on. Alex Verberg has got past Lara Zaynen. And that is for 22nd place. Things look to be closing a little bit at the sharper end of the grid. Justin Poleman trying to close in on Sean Butcher, but is bringing along Danny Prins. Sam Bergstein and Lachlan Robinson are trying to give chase, as are the likes of Jori Schoens, Max Stevenik, Nick Kuppens, amongst others. Another lap in the books, and there's a little bit of a skirmish a little bit further back. Multiple drivers trying to make their way through. That's being led by Beer Dodderstein. Or maybe Christian declining the 399. However, Robinson now gets his way up into 4th position past Sam Bergstein, and it looks to be a little bit closer this time around. Sean Butcher has not managed to gallop away into the distance like we saw yesterday, so everyone else seems to have maybe found a little bit more pace through the learning that you get adapting the setup to how it's going to suit your driving style and obviously to the track conditions. And the fight for the championship looks like it could be going down to the final race of the season, because it's, as they say, it's not over until the checkered flag falls. And what a move by Lachlan Robinson up the inside of Danny Prince. Neatly done by the Emirati going through turn 12 to now take P3. And the hunt continues on with Justin Poleman. Runs a little bit wide, but turns it nice and neatly back in. Through into turn number 2. Danny Prince has got Sam Bergstein and Jori Schoens just behind. Bergstein just goes up the inside. That's opened the door for Jori Schoens. And Schoens is going to get a tow. This is going to be rather close into turn 7. And 2 positions make that 3 that has just been lost by Danny Prince because of Max Demerding. And then all of a sudden, from literally nowhere, here enters Dylan LaHaye. 9.5 minutes to go, plus an additional lap. Justin Poleman coming under pressure from Lachlan Robinson. Going into turn 12 as we're about to complete our 4th lap of the race. Butcher's lead was half a second last time. It's now 0.8. As Robinson looks to the inside. Another beautiful move from Lachlan Robinson. They're up into P2. And now the chase begins. And Lachlan Robinson is one of the fastest drivers. He's actually set the fastest lap of the race. And that was on lap number 2, 54.515. And Robinson was a 10th and a half slower than Butcher last time around because he was battling away to get past Justin Poleman. Now that Robinson's got a bit of clean air, Butcher is going to have to be on his A game. And sometimes there are days where you don't have the greatest wish fulfilled in terms of results. Gap now 0.9 between the top 2. Now Sam Bergstein coming under fire from Sam Bergstein, I believe, and Dylan LaHaye is definitely factoring in right now on the back bumper of what will be Danny Prince, and goes up the inside, does the 328 through turn 6 into the Europolan. Flint Schuring's made his way up into 17th position. But for the last 3 laps, Sean Butcher has been running consistently in the 54.7 second bracket. But there's still 7.5 minutes to go. Gap between the top 2 now stretches to 1.063 seconds. Sam Bergstein now eyeing up a potential move on the 325 of Justin Pohlmann. Joris Schoens is waiting in the wings. Max Stemmerdink is about 6 tenths away from that battle. He needs to start closing up if he wants to have the opportunity of getting anywhere near to the championship side of things, because the nearest, whether Stemmerdink's got to work for it if he wants to get a podium at the end of the weekend in terms of the championship standings. With no Callum Bradshaw, no Mark Kimber since the first round at Genk in April, Dylan LaHaye is the next one that could factor in, maybe to give Max Stemmerdink a bit of a fright. 6.5 minutes to go. Butcher leads by nearly 1.3 seconds. And there, as I speak, is Dylan LaHaye. There has been a tangle, and that was Danny Prince, and more importantly, Max Stemmerdink. That was going through into turn number 3. The pair apparently clashed wheels. As Beard Dotterstein up the inside of the 327 Vincent Bouteille from France. Let's all change musical chairs once again. Lars Zanen has made his way up into 18th position as Sam Bergstein trying to put the pressure on Justin Pohlmann, but Pohlmann, we know, is very resolute, like a lot of drivers. Will defend as hard as humanly possible for plenty of time. It's one thing to get close to somebody, it's one thing to pass, and as I say, that's Sam Bergstein up into P3, past Justin Pohlmann. Joris Schoens waiting, chomping at the bit to get past the 325 from the Netherlands. Pohlmann goes defensive on Joris Schoens going through the hairpin off of turn 6. Schoens to the inside, might get the run, and look at the cut across. Oh, and there was nigh on a tangle going into turn 7. The front bumper of Joris Schoens could have nearly been quite easily in the back bumper of Justin Pohlmann, and Dylan LaHaye has caught them hand over fist whilst they've been scrapping away. Bas Janssen now past turn Schmidt for 19th. Ehad Tucker and Gilles Clouet now close out the top 13, having got past Christian de Klein. 4 minutes and 35 seconds still to go. And the battles still rage on regardless. Beard Dotterstein is now being passed by Ehad Tucker for 11th position. And Nick Cuppens is closing in. Looks to be on Joris Schoens, I believe. As always, getting a bit not very, very up close and personal going through turn number 7. And that would have been the likes of Gilles Clouet. Christian de Klein has just got past. And there is Mario Sidler from Switzerland looking to the outside of Gilles Clouet through into turn 10. Looks to the outside going into the approach to turn 11. The Swiss driver hot on the heels of the Belgian. That is 4-track position. So a little bit of a bump onto the runoff for Christian de Klein, and Gilles Clouet ends up going sideways through turn 3. Not too sure, has he got an issue, or might have just been caught out because Mario Sidler just managed to get past. He's chasing Dan Dorrestein. But in the meantime here for the battle for fourth position between Justin Poleman, Yori Schoens and Dylan LaHaye. It's nip and tuck going through turn 10. Now into 11. Butcher still leads. Robinson making it a KR Sport 1-2 at the moment with 3 minutes remaining on the clock plus an additional lap. Gap between the top two now 1.9 seconds and climbing. Bergstein third. Schoens trying everything in the book, and Dylan LaHaye, like an opportunistic individual, goes up the inside to take fifth through turn 3. It was because Schoens was trying to force the way past Justin Poleman through turn 2, and LaHaye saw an opening and took complete advantage of it without a single bit of hesitation whatsoever. Just behind them, they've got the likes of Danny Prince and Nick Coppens that might be closing in on them. 2 minutes and 15 still to go. And with the top three stretched out as they are, the main battle is for P4, and Dylan LaHaye is now looking up the inside. Through on Justin Poleman, who loses out another position, maybe even make that 3. No, Poleman blocks off the way for Stemmerdink. So Stemmerdink still down in 7th position, and now he's got Danny Prinz on his back bumper, going through turns 2 and 3. So they make their way down into turn 7, now into turn 8 off of the Europolan. So LaHaye making sure that he gets a good set of points in the double digits here in this race. And the final will dictate the grid for the pre-final. So we're into the last 60 seconds. LaHaye leads the way for what is the charge for 4th position. Stemmerdink is in 7th and wants to try and get past maybe at least one person in front, and the person in his hit list is going to be Justin Poleman, as there's a move by the 327 Vincent Bouteye on Danny Prinz, but Prinz has got the inside run going into turn 7 and gets back through, retakes the place. We're about to complete lap number 14 as all. There's been a little bit of a tangle, and that was with Danny Prinz and also could have been Nick Coppens maybe, but Erhard Turker was waiting in the wings and has pounced. And now Erhard Turker rounds out the top 10. There's more fireworks through turn 2 because Danny Prinz has been somewhat hung out to dry, I'm afraid. And it's not been easy for the 303 representing the Netherlands. The timer has now hit 0 about 20 seconds ago, so we're on the penultimate lap. Lap 15 out of 16. And Sean Butcher is bringing it home. And before drop scores taken into account, it'll put him at effectively a 16-point advantage going into the last race of the season. Final lap board is out for Senior Rotax pre-final on day 2. Butcher leads Robinson by 1.5. Bergstein, LaHaye, Yori Schoens, Justin Poleman, Max Stemmerdink, Vincent Bouteye, Erhard Turker now up into 9th past Nick Coppens. Danny Prinz, Beer Dorrestein, Christian de Klein, Mario Sedler, Gilles Chloé ran at the top 15. Turnschmidt has tumbled to the back end of the order. And that has promoted Alexander Bentley, Remco Bun and Wout Kirstens, who complete the top 25 drivers, but we're on the final lap. And Butcher is just a couple of corners away, making his way through turn 10 as we speak. But LaHaye still holding on to 4th position. But one more corner remains. It's going to be a 3rd victory in a row. 2 pole positions this weekend. Sean Butcher commandingly takes the checkered flag It's his advantage going into the final this afternoon. Lachlan Robinson, 16 points adrift coming into the final race of the weekend and of the season. Finishes 1.6 behind. Sam Bergstein in third. Dylan LaHaye makes a good charge through the field as always here at Genk. Through into fourth ahead of Yori Schoens by just over 2.4 tenths of a second. Justin Pohlman rounds out the top six. Let's have a look at the rest of the results. Max Stemadink in seventh. Vincent Bouteye in eighth ahead of Erhard Turker. Nick Coppens, Danny Prins, Beard Dorrestein, Christian de Klein, Mario Sidler and Gilles Chloé Provizhny being the top 15 that do score points in this race. Lara Zainen rounds out 16th ahead of Buzz Janssen and Bart de Witt. Completing the top 20, it's Robbie Storder and Scott Westhovens. Flint Schuring, Alexander Bentley, Remco Bahn, Alex Verbout, Wood Kirstens and Tern Schmidt complete the 26 that finished the race. But unfortunately for Clémentine Benoit, she was forced to sit by the sidelines, having not even made it onto the start as the recovery vehicle makes its way out onto the circuit.